All right, welcome back to part 2 of the interview with Damon.
That's right.
All right. All right, so Damon, what does your real estate career look like? I know you were saying in the last episode that you have some mentees, right? People that you're mentoring. So, what is something that you would tell a new real estate agent, you know,
Coming in.
yep.
First, I would tell them be patient. The first year, I always tell people, is the hardest.
Okay.
And a lot of people get discouraged in that first year. But just be patient. Keep going out, meeting people. Always pass out your business cards. A lot of the mentees that I have, they're socialites in the DC scene.
Mm-hmm.
So I always tell them, when you go out to these parties and these events, take your business cards.
Mm-hmm.
Because in the DC area, a lot of people, the first question they ask you, what do you do?
Mm.
Yeah.
And what you do is real estate. And they all work full-time jobs, too. I said, don't even mention that job.
Right.
Just give them your real estate card. And most of my business have come from people that I've met at bars, at parties, social media, and they always come back. I tell them I'm a realtor. A year later, they'll be like, hey, you still a realtor? I'm like, yes, I am. And
Yep.
yeah, I get business that way.
All right.
But just be patient.
Be patient.
That's the biggest thing.
Patient.
And be persistent with I know it's hard because a lot of my, the mentees, and they're friends of mine too, they work in the government, law firms and stuff like that. And of course, when you're in the DC scene and you're telling me, oh, I'm a lawyer at such and such, I'm like, you better start saying real estate agent or realtor, because that's where you're gonna make good money.
Yeah. Right. I think that's a big part of it too, is getting out there, meeting new people, and being the top of mind when it comes down to, oh, I'm thinking about buying a house. Your name comes up first.
Exactly. People will remember you. Every time you see them, and they ask a lot of questions. I was at a party a couple of weeks ago, and how's the market now? They ask those type of questions. And another thing that I find surprising, a lot of people don't know that they actually can afford a house. They don't know how easy the process is until I tell them about it. I'm like, it's simple. Very simple.
It's so crazy. Like, we're in 2023, and people still have the same information from, 2 decades ago.
Right.
I need a 20% down payment, and it's going to be more than rent, right?
Right.
It's going to be more, and, I need to have 2 years at a job. I can't have switch jobs, and I just switched jobs, even though I'm making more now. And it's like, oh, man, it's not right at all.
And you have so many people about that too, like kind of following up on that is like people are kind of scared to buy a house a lot of the times. And there's reasons for that. It's, hey, other people in the industry, and there's nightmare stories. And I mean, some situations you're going to have a kind of intense documentation period and things like that. But I think that's the most important thing, is realizing hey, it's not that difficult. Try to lay it down in layman's terms and have fun with your clients, get them on a personal level.
Absolutely. A lot of things that I realized with the first-time home buyers, they give you this list of everything they have to have in their home. So I try to remind them, this is just the first house.
Right.
So you might have to give up one or two of those little things and then, scale back a little bit. But we end up finding it. The hardest part right now, though, in the market is finding the house and winning the offer, the bid on it.
So what would you tell the people right now? What's the market look like in your area?
So most of my clients are in the PG County, DC area, and it is tough. We're finding properties where they're getting last week we had one that had 23 offers. So I would say save. Yeah. Because you're going to have to put a little cash in over that appraisal if you want to get something inside the Beltway,
right,
or close to it. And now I'm seeing something similar come out this way toward Baltimore as well. They're getting multiple offers on some properties in the area. I've looked at some in Catonsville, and they had 4 offers. And we even put a little cash on top of the appraisal, and we still didn't get it. And I'm just like, okay. So it's crazy right now, but I'm willing to continue to keep writing those offers until we get something that sticks.
Right. And I mean, some people probably on the fence right now. What would you tell those people that are on the fence?
Still look for your home. I mean, they're out there. It's out there. And I feel like what's for you is for you. So don't give up. Keep going.
And for some people right now, they're saying, oh, no, this is a horrible time to buy. The market's probably going to crash. You know,
do it now. Because the thing is, I think the rates are decent right now. You know, when I bought my first house, my rate was like 9%.
Say it again.
9%. And back then, I think that was kind of normal. It was a long time ago. I was like 21 years old. But yeah, it was 9%. And now I don't know exactly where we are today, but these are decent. And you can always refinance later if rates go down. So I tell people still get the house and don't give up.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, I had so many people, you know, clients and stuff like that during 2020 and 2021. Rates were low. They were dealing with the same market we're dealing with now, this crazy multiple offers, you know, paying above and beyond. And, I mean, there's a couple people that, hey, look, I know rates are low. I know this makes sense for me right now. I'm going to just wait for this market to calm down. Look what happened. Hey, market's still the same. It's still the same craziness here. So it's never a bad time, especially. And I feel like the houses, too. It's, you know, everyone's like, oh, you know, we're in a bubble. It's going to crash. No, everything's kind of holding its value and remaining steady there. So,
Absolutely.
Where do you think things are going? I mean, what do you see the market doing in, you know, the next year or two?
I really don't know. I mean, I think, you know, rates are probably going to stay around where they are. And the DC area is always kind of different from everywhere else because there's constantly people moving into DC, government workers. That's where the federal government is. So the DC, that inside the Beltway and right outside of the Beltway, it's totally different from anywhere else in the country, I think.
Right.
And I think it's always going to be competitive as far as housing. You're always going to have multiple offers, unless we do go through some big crash, which I don't know if that'll happen or not. But it's always competitive in that area, and everybody wants to go there that moves here from out of town.
Right.
Yeah.
They're just like, I want to be near DC. I want to be near work. I'm like, let's just get you near a metro station, and, even if it's out a little ways.
Yeah.
And some people still, they don't know the area. So they don't understand until we start looking at houses, putting in offers, and we're not getting any of them.
Right.
And then they say, okay, I got to go further out now.
Yeah,
You know?
I mean, I can't blame them. If I worked in D.C., I would not want to commute there. That's for
Right.
sure.
Well, I
Gets a
work
little hectic.
I work in D.C. I live in Baltimore.
Yeah.
So I do it every day almost.
You
And
have
some
you have a
people-
lot of patience.
And there's some areas too, right? Like Owings Mills, things like that, where the train goes.
Correct. It goes also like to Beltsville. Actually, I take the train sometimes.
Oh,
we
okay.
have a station right in Baltimore City, 7 minutes from my house.
Penn Station.
Penn Station,
Yeah.
Penn Station. We have West Baltimore Station. So I try to tell people about Baltimore. I'm like, look, I'm able to live the life I'm living. My mortgage is less than a G. So,
Oh, man.
I'm just like, and some people, some of my friends have actually moved up here and they commute to DC. They was like, okay, I can do this, you know, and it's an hour out of your day.
Yeah.
But if you're, a lot of them telework, I'm just like, it's not that serious.
Right.
And then you could sell later and move if the market were to change or something.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. So, I mean, we have the DC market and everything like that, and we know that all these buyers are coming there, and it's always a hot spot because you've got a lot of government work, right? You've got military bases nearby.
Absolutely.
I mean, you know, it's the capital,
It's the capital.
right? So it's always going to be busy, and that's what you've seen in the last 8 years.
Absolutely.
Always busy, even when some markets are a little bit slower. That one's still just
That
moving.
one's still moving. Still moving.
Gotcha.
And the thing is, I try to tell people too, rents are also going up.
Yeah.
So it's just like, are you going to still give that money to somebody else so they can pay their mortgage? Or do you want to just get your own?
Right.
You know, so, and some people still don't get it.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, looking back, 4 years ago now, when the last time I rented before I bought my house, like just the other week, I was curious about it. And I was like, all right, I know what I paid for that 2-bedroom. So I got online and I started looking at it. And it's jumped by $250, $300 for the same exact apartment I used to live in.
Absolutely.
And it wasn't nothing to write home about, that's for sure.
Yeah.
And that's the beautiful thing about my mortgage is that's not going up. Yeah,
That's amazing.
I'm locked down.
That's good. When I first moved to the area, I lived in Largo, Maryland.
Mm-hmm.
My rent was like $1,700 a month over there. And now I'm saving like a ton of money just by owning.
Right.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, look, is your mortgage technically going to go up a little bit? It is, because taxes are going to go up. Insurance is going to go up. But the actual cost that you bought that home for is not going up. So that principal and interest is always the same.
Correct.
So, is it going to go up a little tiny bit? Yeah, it will, but not on the same amount that rent is going to go up. In another 10 years, maybe we're paying another $200 more, right? But how much are they paying in 10 years? Probably another $800 to $1,200 more.
Correct.
Yeah.
So, that's the big gap, and that's what people don't really understand, is that time is what's gonna make it.
Absolutely. And like I said, time is definitely it. And I'm thinking I've told several clients that I have now, do it now. Like I've had one client tell me he wants to wait. You're paying $3,400 in rent though. What are you waiting for? But he really wants this garage, but you don't have one now.
Right.
So and everybody wants a garage. So you're going to be running into those multiple offer situations.
Right.
But they got to.
It's a
Big ticket
trade-off.
item in the city too, having that garage, that's or even a parking pad.
Right.
Jump up the whole sales price by $30,000 if you just have a small concrete that you can barely squeeze that car in.
Right. And what some people need to understand is that, like you were saying before, this is going to be your first home. You want that garage, I get it. That's your wish list thing. That's your, top of the line. That's my one thing that I want. But how about you get a home first, and then, maybe a couple years go by, you've paid down your mortgage, hopefully built up a little bit of equity,
Absolutely.
Saved up some more cash, which, remember, you're going to be paying less in your home than you are renting.
Absolutely.
And then you take that money and you put it into the new one that now you can afford to maybe put a little bit more, versus, no, I'm just going to wait to have the extra $40,000
Right.
so that I can buy the house that I want. Well, the time that it takes you to save up that $40,000, that same house is probably going to go up $40,000.
Yeah. And that's, it's good you mentioned time too. I heard a quote one time talking about stock market is it's not timing the market, it's time in the market.
Right.
And I feel like that's goes hand in hand with the real estate market as well. Because if you have a house, it's going to appreciate, whether, hey, maybe you're a little bit handy, you're putting that sweat equity into it, different things like that. You might not be building a whole addition and making square footage, but you're making it a nicer home. Property values are going up. And so many people, unless you're a first-time home buyer, I have so many clients that are using that equity that they have built over the years for the next house. So it really boils down to how long have you owned a house and time in the market.
Absolutely.
Right. I mean, it's so important to just get in the game.
I try to tell everybody I know.
So, listen,
Everybody
get
I know.
in the game. That's all you have to do is just get in the game. If you have good people on your side, they're going to tell you, hey, that's actually not a good buy, right?
Yeah.
Like some people will tell you, yeah, that house is way over. But, I mean, right now we aren't really seeing things like that.
Yeah.
I mean, they're pretty much correct. And you're not going to have the same things that happened in 2008, because that's what everyone's worried about, that I'm going to pay $200,000 for a house, and then next year it's going to be worth $100,000. Like, that's not going to happen, because, we have rules and regulations that came because of all of that happened, that now that is not impossible, but it's so difficult to happen that it more than likely it won't, because, appraisers, which is the people that go out and say, how much is this property worth? They have to fact check their properties. And it's not like before where it was like, well, those sold for $150, but let's just say this one's $200.
Correct.
Right? You can't just do that, right? Yeah. You have to really show your work, and that and other things that are put in place to make sure that it doesn't happen, right? It's probably not going to.
Yeah, and if it does, it's a small drop.
Yeah.
It's hey, we're not going to say the market's always linear. It's not
Right.
always going to increase. But if it does drop a small amount, it's like I said, it's time in the market. So
Right.
hey, it's eventually going to recover. It's eventually going to go up. It's unless you're doing this for a kind of hey, I'm buying an investment property to flip or something like that.
Yeah.
Timing the market is a little bit different
Right.
in that scenario. But as far as worry, I'm going to be underwater in my house, and it's even if you were by a tiny amount, things are going to get
It's
better.
gonna get better. You gotta
Right.
gotta ride the wave.
Yeah,
Right.
exactly
Yeah,
right.
So
You do. You have to ride the wave because if the market does come down, like let's say worst case scenario, it came down 10%. Worst case scenario, 10%. It came down. I mean, 3 to 4 years from that, you're gonna be
you'll be back up.
right back where you were, and the year after that, you'll be even more.
Yep.
And if you really want to ride that wave, you keep that house, right? And then you do buy again if you were thinking that you wanted to buy when the market did come down a little bit.
Right.
So it's again, it's like this. It's constantly going up. It's up and down, up and down. It's like the stock market, up and down, but it's in one direction. It's going up.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I
Peaks
mean, I
and
even
valleys.
think the house is better than the stock market. You
Oh,
know
yeah,
what I'm saying?
100%.
Like, the home ownership piece, it's a little bit more secure, I believe.
No, you need a place to live.
Yeah,
Exactly.
You're gonna be living somewhere. So who's gonna get that equity? Is it gonna be your landlord or is it gonna be you?
yeah.
That's the
Might,
question.
might as well build equity while you got it.
Right. So it's a couple $100 a month that either you could be getting or they could be getting. It's one or the other. So the people that are really on the fence thinking like, oh, should I buy? Well, the question is, it's not should you buy, it's do you want that money in your pocket?
Exactly. Do it today.
Right. Exactly. So, all right. I feel like that we talked about a lot today.
We did.
We gave them a lot of knowledge bombs. Thanks for coming.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
All right.
Absolutely.